from the day, who lived with Corey when he lived in your home?
Well, my wife, myself, and Christopher, then my daughter Kimberly, and my other son Daniel.
Briefly explain the daily life of what happened when Corey was home with you living.
So he came to us full time at the end of January, and school was in session. So at the time, Christopher was teaching in Camden, and it involved early departure and a late arrival at home. So in essence, for the first few months, I felt as if I was the dad. And so the day would begin when he got up, and we would help him get ready for school, take a shower. My wife would make him breakfast. My wife was working at the time. Being self-employed, I had somewhat flexible hours. I tried to make it around Corey's schedule. And so it was all-encompassing. It's going through his book bag, making sure his assignments were in there, whatever permission slips or money he might have needed for that day. It was seeing him off to school, waiting for him to come off the bus at 3 o'clock. They dropped him off right in front of the house, and generally I was there waiting with some kind of sports item or and he would come back, and we would be engaged in some kind of activity so he could unwind. And then I'd bring him in, and the first thing is we went through his book bag. And I say, wait, it was me, because generally it was in the 4 o'clock or so area. My wife was just getting home. And we had an agreement with the school at the time, as part of the program he was in, was to give us an analysis of how he did in school that day. And so every day there was teacher's notes in a little blue book he used to keep, and it was the first thing I went through when I went through his book bag, see if he had a good day or did he have a bad day. And then subsequent to that, it was homework, dinner. Hopefully Chris was home by that time so he could eat with him. If he wasn't, we did that. We got the homework ready, and it was always something that Chris wanted to spend the end of the day with him doing his homework.
Now, where did Corey go to school when he moved in with you?
At first, he was in Jamesburg School.
Okay, and did that change?
It did.
And where did it change to?
Right in the beginning of October, when the residential custody was assumed, we had meetings, Chris and I had meetings in Monroe to move him to the Barclay Brooks School.
Okay, and that's located in Monroe?
It is.
Okay. Now, there comes a time when Christopher and Corey move out of your Monroe home, right?
Yes.
Okay, and when was that?
August 28th, 2020.
And where did they move to?
Barney?
Okay. So, in 2020, Christopher moves down to Barnegat, and who lived with Christopher?
Christopher and Corey.
Okay, so they lived together.
They did.
Okay. Between the time that Christopher moved to Barnegat and March 20th, did you see Christopher and Corey?
March 20th, 2021. I'm sorry, I was focused on something else.
Okay. When Christopher and Corey moved out,
Right.
from that day,
From August
to
March.
March 20th of 2021, did you ever see
Oh.
Christopher and Corey?
Yes, many times.
Okay. How often?
As often as we could get down. We would take, I used to crab a lot in that area, so I would go down during the week if my schedule permitted, and the priority wasn't crab and it was getting over to the house and usually dropping off some kind of care package and spending some time with him if he wasn't in school at the time. And on the weekends, my wife would encourage me to go. I don't know how many times, many times.
Okay. We've seen a video of a treadmill incident that occurred on March 20th of 2021. Have you seen that video?
No,
Why not?
because I don't want to see Corey mistreated.
Okay. Between March 20th and April 2nd, did you see Corey?
I did.
And when was that?
March 22nd.
Okay. And why did you see Corey on March 22nd?
On the 22nd, Chris and Corey, they were looking for a home to purchase. And so, being that we were involved with the purchase in terms of helping, we went down. My wife was a real estate agent, and showed them two houses. In Bayville, was one. The other one was near Barnegat.
Okay, and how many houses, did you look at two houses?
Two houses.
Okay. And did you see Corey that day?
We did.
Okay. And what was Corey's demeanor on March 22nd?
He was happy and energetic. The entire time we look at both homes, we were talking about where his room would be and where would it be his yard to play with the dog. He was excited. He ran around a lot. I remember that because there was a situation at the one house on a trafficked street where as we were walking in the house, he ran out of the car and was running through the front yard, and my wife got all excited and ran after to get him because she was concerned with the street. But he had a lot of energy. He was very excited.
Okay. Now, after you looked at the houses, what, if anything, did you do next?
We visited my brother-in-law down in Barnegat.
Okay. And was Corey there?
He was.
And how was his demeanor at your brother-in-law's house?
Same. Happy, energetic. We were talking to him. I'm sure the visit was boring, but we kept saying, hey, we're going to go out and eat, and you're going to get French fries and everything to further his attention because it was all the adults visiting with each other.
By the way, what was Christopher's demeanor on the 22nd when you were looking at the houses?
Concerned. It was a major step in his life to purchase a home. Concerned that he could afford it. The homes we were looking at, of course, were all fixer-uppers. You know, we were helping. He's just starting off in his line of work, so funds were limited. And
Objection, Judge.
So, what was his demeanor? Was the question I asked.
he was concentrating on the home, so he was very concerned.
So when you got to your brother-in-law's house, what was Christopher's demeanor?
Relatively happy, you know, asking questions about how could we do things with the homes. I'm talking about a whole host of things, but, you know, it seemed relatively normal to me other than the excitement about what the homes brought.
Okay.
Objection, Judge. It's speculation as to his subjective opinion as to normal.
They asked the answer, so it's fine.
Thank you, Judge.
After you visited with your family, did you finally take Corey out to dinner?
We did.
Okay. And where did you go to dinner?
We went to the Sun Harbor Grill in Barnegat.
And what was Corey's demeanor at the Sun Harbor Grill?
He's excited, excited about the food, and we talked about a whole host of things, but he was happy.
Now, between March 22nd and April 2nd, did you see Corey?
No.
On April 2nd, did you hear from Christopher?
I did.
And about what time did you hear from Christopher?
It was sometime after 5.
Okay. And where were you at the time?
In the car.
Okay, and where were you going?
My wife had called me. I went home to pick her up, and we were heading down to Barnegat.
Okay. And can you please describe the conversation you had with Christopher, that first conversation?
The first conversation is when I took the phone from my wife. Christopher was on the phone with her. I could hear it was loud and very excitable, and I asked her to give me the phone, and then I got the phone.
Okay. What was Christopher's demeanor during that conversation?
Hysterical.
When's the next time you heard from Christopher?
A few minutes later.
Okay. And describe that conversation.
It was the same. He was inconsolable. He just lost his son.
When's the next time you heard from Christopher after that? Did you call him or he call you?
I think there was a call right before 5:30, a relatively short call. I forget if he generated or I did.
And after that, when's the next time you heard from your son?
The next day, sometime afternoon, I think it was after 1 actually.
Okay, so that would be April 3rd.
It would be.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you discuss with your son?
I discussed one, where was he? And then I discussed, you got to be back here. We were distraught. told him to come home.
Okay. And did there come a time that you rented a car for him?
I did.
Okay. And why did you rent a car, if you know?
I do. He was stopped in Tennessee, and he had to give up his vehicle and his cell phone, and he was without transportation.
Okay. So did you arrange for transportation for your son to come home to New Jersey?
We made several calls and located a rental car place, and that we had made a call. I don't know who paid for it, but we were involved in trying to secure a vehicle for him.
Okay. And he eventually returned to New Jersey?
He did.
And what day was that?
April 5th.
Okay, so 3 days later. Okay.
Yes.
And when he arrived home in New Jersey on April 5th, where did he live?
With us.
After April 5th of 2021 until July, where did Christopher live?
With us.
And in July, did there come a time when police came to your house?
Yes.
And do you recall what day that was?
July 8th.
Okay. And which police came to your house?
Barnegat, someone from the prosecutor's office, and from my town, Monroe.
Okay. And what, if anything, did they ask?
They were
Objection,
looking.
it's hearsay, Judge.
What, if anything, did they do?
Well, they were looking for Christopher. They had asked me where he was.
Okay. And was he home?
He wasn't.
Okay. Do you know where he was?
I do.
Where was he?
He was on a hiking retreat out in western Pennsylvania.
Okay. And how did he get there?
My wife dropped him off.
Now, did you talk to him on July 8th?
I did.
Okay. And what did you tell him?
Exactly what I just said. The police were there and they were looking for him. They shared with me that there was a charge against him, but wouldn't share what the charge was.
Okay. And did you make arrangements for him to come home?
We did.
And what were those arrangements that you made for him?
Well, the original plan was to pick him up, my wife and I, to go out to dinner, and at the end of the hike is to pick him up and bring him home. So there was no vehicle. So this was a Thursday, if I remember right, because it was near the weekend. And at that point, it was getting near the end of the day, and we were like, how are we going to get a rent-a-car at the end of the day? And then at that point, I believe I called you to ascertain what exactly is the expectation in terms of his arrival back. He only can get home so quickly. And so it was nearing 5 o'clock, and it necessitated, based on the conversation with yourself, it necessitated him getting back as soon as possible. So I got involved to have to make a call out to the rental company to see if they would stay open a little bit longer because he was going to be on his way.
Okay. And what day did he come back?
July 9th.
The next day.
The next day, he was 9 o'clock a.m. He was at Barnegat Police Station. Drove through the night.
Okay. And do you know if he was arrested on that day?
He was.
And do you know what the charge was on that day?
I do.
And what was that?
Endangering.
Okay. Now, between July 8th of 2021 and March of 2022, did Christopher live at your home at any point?
Yes.
And during that time he lived at your home, did he work?
He did.
Okay. Did he also have a girlfriend?
He did.
And what was his girlfriend's name, if you know?
Laura.
Okay. And between July of 2021 and March of 2022, would he live between you and his girlfriend's house?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did there come a time in March of 2022 that you understood that Christopher was arrested again?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you find that out?
Actually, my daughter told me.
Okay. Your daughter, Kim?
Kimberly.
Okay. And do you know what he was arrested for at that point?
I do.
Okay. And what was he arrested for at that point?
Murder.
And this was almost a year since Corey had passed?
Yes.
When between July, let me go here. After Corey passed, Did you have any type of memorial for him?
We did.
And when was that?
I believe it was April 8th.
Okay. And can you tell us about that?
Well, we had a separate wake subsequent to the wake with his mother's family, and a separate ceremony at the cemetery.
Okay. Was Christopher present for the memorial?
Objection, Judge. I think we're really, I don't understand the relevancy.
It's overruled. You can say he's present for that.
Was he present?
Yes.
Further questions, Judge?
Thank you. Just let them.
Thank you.